Rolling Realms Redux is both a standalone game and an expansion of the original Rolling Realms, and it has the same idea. That is, it's a roll and write game based on other games published by Stone Meyer Games, so by the same publisher. A little bit of a meta self-reflectivity there, I don't know. So, it's a roll and write, so we're gonna have something to roll. We have these nice, majestic, I would say, dice. They will be rolled in the middle of the table, producing two numbers between 1 and 6, and then everybody will be writing down those numbers somewhere. You have identical decks of 12 cards, and each represents a realm. And also, again, everybody, so you have multiple sets with different backs to distinguish them. And also, you have this nice, convenient travel box in which you can place the cards, and so just travel with a very portable version of the game, which is what I did. I was traveling for a family trip, and so I brought that with me. I brought two smaller dice, and then some dry erase pencils or markers, and that's what you need. So, each player will have always these two things. One is where you write a record of the dice that have been rolled, and say, for example, this time, this round we rolled a 4 and a 6, so everybody writes their 4 and 6, so just that if we need to check that later. We have it. Later, somebody rolls a 5 and a 5, and then a 3 and a 2, so that's how that works. Very simple. We're gonna play 3 rounds. Each round has 9 turns, so when this record card here is full, we're gonna score points, and the points simply will be issued based on the stars that we have gained. Suppose at the end of the round I score 3 points, I mark it there. At the end of the other round, 4, and then only 2, and then so we'll have the final score. And whoever has the final score, the highest final score at the end of the game, of course, at the end of 3 rounds, wins the game. And at the end of a round, as we set up the situation, that we set up the next, we will erase everything that we have on our personal cards. And we have these nice little things here to clean. I'm trying to get one. We erase everything but the scores. So maybe this is how my cards will look at the end of round 1 when I'm ready for round 2. We also have this other personal card here, and this is where you mark your resources. Now, if you cannot place one of your 2 dice because of the rules of the realms in which you're supposed to write them, then you can turn that into a resource instead. To gain a resource, you simply circle it like so. Oh, I just gained a heart. I just gained a coin. This is not the best way to gain resources. There are other game effects that give you more, but this is an option. I'm still showing you how you gain resources. That's how you gain them, and then of course you're collecting them because you want to spend them. And so here you have a reminder of how you can spend them to perform actions or to get different benefits. For example, by spending 2 pumpkins, I can adjust a die +1 or -1. I'm not actually physically changing that. That means that if I decide to use my 2 pumpkin bonus on that die, I will write a 3 on in one of my realms instead of a 4, but that one physically remains the same. And that's the difference between collecting and using. With 2 hearts, if the rolled dice are a pair, I gain a die of that value. So I create a 3rd notional die. I can write the value somewhere. Remember, you're gonna have 3 realms. And I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'll mention that next. So that's for the resources. As for the game itself, this set comes, as we said, with 12 realms, and basically that means with cards that are each its own mini game. And everybody has the same deck of 12 cards. We shuffle them, and then somebody will draw 3 of them randomly, and then everybody else would take the same ones from their deck, so they're both randomly determined, and yet everybody has the same realms, and then the game is ready to go. Again, somebody rolls the dice. Everybody makes a record of the results, 6 and 2. And now everybody has to should write these numbers in their realms. Usually you write a number per realm. So basically each turn you will place the numbers in 2 different realms and one will not receive any love. Again, unless you use an effect that gives you an extra notional thing. And that's pretty much the general idea. Suppose I decide to write a 6 there and to write a 2 there. What you do and what these results do changes depending on the realms. Again, they're all like tiny mini games. And I'll show you some of those. I'll show you mainly my favorite ones. But that would be the general idea. I wrote a 6 and a 2 there, and then we roll again, other 2 numbers, and maybe next time I'll place a number here, a number there. So that's how it works. Add your 2 numbers to different realms, possibly gain benefits from various game effects, turn them into resources, possibly use those benefits, and continue like this for 9 turns per round, 3 rounds. That means 9 realms or 9 mini games out of 12, and at the end the player with the highest score wins the game. As for what these mini games do, this is probably the simplest of them all, or one of the simplest. And so that's good if you're starting. So if you're starting with new players, I use this with my young niece because that was a good way to get the game started. Pretty simple. You add the number that you wrote there, say 614, and then I collect. Suppose I put a 6 there, then I would have 11. And then I collect the reward associated with the numerical range. Oh, 11. I get a star. That's a victory point. Then I move only 2 of those numbers to the next column. So I move the 6 and the 1. And that's the way it works from round to round. Dog park, you're gonna walk your dogs. So you're gonna, if I put a number here, I choose one of the dogs, and that's the number of steps that the dog takes. And I'm trying to get the dog to the end of their track, having them step on as many bones as possible and not so many on these. I don't even know what they represent. But if a dog reaches the end of their path and they only stopped on one or none of these red symbols here, I score 2 points. If they stopped on 2, then I score 1 point. If they stepped too many times, then no points. Pretty simple. Tidal Blades, pretty simple. We kill monsters, so by filling out these results, we collect trophies. You collect a trophy when you use the corresponding result, and also when you have the whole set. Killing the monster, you get those other trophies, and those trophies will generate victory points as you mark them on that track. Wonderland's War, you are basically placing results here to try to achieve certain numbers, a certain total to win a war in several turns. Turn 5, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9, and you usually need to prepare, often you need to prepare. Flamecraft, you can assign number, you can again outline things or write them here and generate different kinds of benefits. Here you are basically writing on a map and expanding from your castle. You use those numbers to mark different hexes and to reach different advantages, which are sometimes resources, sometimes victory points. Legacy of You, you're trying to create pairs of numbers that are increasingly higher. Meadow, you're marking those resources to, and you collect, so I write a 2 here, then 1, 2, and I collect that resource associated with that symbol. That sort of thing. Planet Unknown, you play Tetris, so to speak, and you're trying to filling rows. Atiwa, rock, paper, scissors. Here we're playing rock, paper, scissors against the game system. One die used for you and one die used for the other system. Poker, you're either trying to create sets or you're playing the sets. And Atiwa, frankly, I don't remember. Maybe we didn't try this one. Use the number to either align any matching terrain card, okay, or gain the benefits, or circle up a number of bats. No, I did not play this one here. I don't know, it seems interesting though. Then if possible, blah, 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 blah. All right? All right, well, we can take a look, pause it. So, I need to try this one, but I'll let you know what I think of the game in general anyways. So I just played a round solo because I was curious about the one that I have forgotten to play originally. That's pretty simple. You either circle areas with bats in them, or you circle the bats themselves. You collect resources, and again, you form in sets that ultimately you want to use to collect victory points. Collecting resources is nice, but the resources don't carry over from one round to the other, and you don't win with the resources, you mainly win with the big victory points. So I just played around solo. I wanted to see how many points I scored, and I also played that solo before. You can just play true solo against yourself, against your previous score, because there's nothing to prevent you from doing so. The game, however, also comes with a bot for a proper human versus artificial intelligence solo, and I'll leave it to you to explore that option. These days I don't play many games against bots, because if I can play a game with reading, say, 2 rules instead of 5, I'll play with 2. Rolling Realms Redux. The pluses and the minuses are minor, which is it may take a little bit of investment to get started, because each realm is a mini game, so with its own rules, but some are easier than others. And I was traveling with my family. I played it with my niece, who is now 10, and I simply put the cards there so that the easier ones would be earlier on, and then she became familiar with the entire idea. And we're playing without any problem. After the first time, of course, that people know the mini games, no problem whatsoever. And that is to say, with some care on how you set up things, you can play it even with younger players and with non-gamers. If you're playing this a game night with people who actually probably know the original Stone Mary games and see all the references, no problem whatsoever. And it's fun, it's simple, it's light. I like roll and write games. I like the peaceful atmosphere that there is when I'm doing my thing and you're doing your thing. I like the little engine that you have every time, as you start by just writing some numbers down, but then you collect resources. So in the later phases of the game, you have more options. You can manipulate the dice more, which is more important in the later phases of the game, when of course you have fewer options and you're more at risk of not being able to use your dice and results. It's a very simple, very nice, very elegant loop that you have there between a lot of opportunities but not very powerful actions at the end, shrinking at the beginning, shrinking opportunities, but more ways of going around that problem in later phases of the game. And then you rinse and repeat with different realms. And so great replay value also because of the different realms. If you combine it with the original game, even more so. The components are very nice, including those ginormous dice, which are fun to look at. Actually, you need to have like pretty big hands like mine if you actually gonna roll them and shake them in your hands in a way that makes sense. So maybe you need an extra large dice tower. Either way, it's a game that looks good, has nice art, has a lot of references to game culture, and most importantly, plays well, and once you pass the initial bump, plays easily, and it's fun to play. So that's important, and that's interesting. And this is my assessment of Rolling Realms Redux.